Today, we're jumping into a really fascinating story about a health transformation. We've got the full before and after data from a 49-day period, and it shows a pretty incredible turnaround in metabolic health. So let's just get right into it. So here's the big question we're looking at. Is it really possible to turn around some major risk factors for chronic disease in just 7 weeks? I mean, that sounds almost too good to be true, right? But the data we're about to walk through is really compelling. Let's see what a focused 49-day protocol can actually do. All right, to really get what happened, we have to look at where things started. This is our baseline, our before picture from back on January 21st, 2026. Okay, so when we look at the starting numbers, a few things jump right out. We've got borderline insulin resistance, which is calculated using a score called HOMA-IR. We've got total cholesterol that's been flagged as high, and we've got borderline inflammation, measured by something called HSCRP. Honestly, these are the exact kinds of sneaky underlying issues that can build up and lead to bigger problems down the road if you don't address them. So what exactly is insulin resistance? Well, you can think of it like this. Your body is making insulin just fine, but your cells start to kind of ignore its signal. They're not listening when insulin tells them to take up sugar from your blood. And that forces your pancreas to work way harder, to shout louder, just to get the job done. That's the real problem we need to fix. So, that was the problem. Now, what was the solution? This brings us to the intervention itself, a very specific 49-day plan. The approach was really direct and had 3 main parts. First, a big shift in diet to a very low-carb approach, focusing on high-quality fats and protein from meat, but also bringing in some awesome local, low-carb vegetables, kind of like what you'd find in the Baha'i Kubo song. By cutting carbs way down, you're not asking your body to produce much insulin, which gives the whole system a break. Second, and this is a big one, a total elimination of all sugar and refined flour, no exceptions. And third, everything was tracked meticulously with blood work and a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, so we could see the results in real time. All right, we've seen the before, we know the game plan. Now for the fun part, the after picture. And let me tell you, the results are absolutely stunning. First up, let's look at fasting insulin. This number tells you exactly how hard your pancreas is working when you haven't eaten. Back in January, it was over 10. Just 49 days later, it dropped all the way to 3.6. That is a huge change. Let's put a number on that. We're talking a 64% reduction. This isn't just a small tweak. This is a fundamental shift. It tells us the body's sensitivity to insulin was coming back, and fast. Next up, triglycerides. These are basically fats floating around in your blood. The level just plummeted from 1.63, which is getting up there, all the way down to a remarkable 0.49. That's a 70% nosedive. And, the clinical notes on the report actually said that a triglyceride level this low is considered a sign of top-tier metabolic health. We're talking exceptional stuff here. And hey, remember that borderline inflammation we saw at the very beginning? Well, look at this. The HSCRP marker dropped from 0.99, which is right on the edge, to 0.39, putting it squarely in the safest possible zone. 61%. That's how much this key marker for system-wide inflammation went down in less than 2 months. It really shows that the dietary changes were having this powerful calming effect throughout the entire body. And the good news didn't stop there either. Both total and LDL cholesterol, which were flagged as high before, fell right back into the normal range. Even hemoglobin, which was a little low to start, completely resolved. I mean, this was a total system upgrade. Now, the blood tests are amazing, but they're like single photographs taken weeks apart. What was happening day in and day out? For that, we turn to the continuous glucose monitor data. And this is where you really see the power of blood sugar stability. This chart might look a little crazy at first, but it's actually super simple. It's basically showing an average day for blood sugar. The goal? You want that line to be as flat and boring as possible, staying right inside that green sweet spot. And as you can see, this is about as flat and stable as it gets. Just beautiful. So let's put some numbers to that picture. Average glucose? Way better than the goal. The GMI, which is kind of like a digital estimate of your A1C, also looking great. But honestly, the real superstar here is that last number, time in range. Time in range, or TIR, is pretty much what it sounds like, how much time your blood sugar spends in that healthy target zone. Now, the goal for excellent control is usually above 70%. This was 98.2%. To put that in perspective, the science says every 5% increase is a big clinical win. So hitting over 98%, that is just off the charts incredible. Okay, we've looked at all the pieces of the puzzle. Let's pull it all together now on one final scorecard. This really shows the full story of this 49-day victory. Just look at this summary. Insulin resistance, resolved. Not just better, but resolved, going from borderline to optimal. Inflammation, now low risk. That high cholesterol, normalized. And those triglycerides and the trig-HDL ratio, exceptional. Every single one of these key areas saw a complete turnaround. And you don't have to just take my word for it. The actual clinical analysis in the report had this to say. Textbook insulin sensitization. I love that. It confirms that the root cause, the thing we started with, was effectively fixed, going from a problem state to optimal in just 7 weeks. It's just amazing. You know, this was the story of one person's incredible 49-day journey. But the key is that it wasn't guesswork. It was all guided by data. And it really makes you wonder, right? It raises this really powerful question. What could a focused, data-driven approach like this reveal and maybe even transform about your own health?